this is weird. Ubisoft put out an apology, but don't they have an army of diversity officers? Don't they practice inclusivity and diversity? Weren't they supposed to make sure that their product isn't offensive? Are they going to fire anyone for being shit at their jobs? I mean, if you have a doctor who botches an operation, don't they get fired? Why doesn't the diversity officer get fired? Why don't the consultants, which are supposed to make sure that the product isn't offensive, getting fired? They pissed off an entire nation, by the way. Like this is going up all the way to the Japanese government. There's senators and lawmakers getting involved now. We already discussed it in previous videos. But, like, again, no one is getting fired over this, right? Like, in 2024, you can be absolute shit at your job. You can be the most incompetent person on the planet. But as long as you don't make edgy jokes on Twitter, you're fine. You're absolutely fine. Okay, now, Grooms has already torn apart this apology, which is something that I wanted to do, but unfortunately, he did it before me. So I'm just going to see if I agree with his takes or not. But to our esteemed Japanese community, like, look, they're apologizing to an entire nation. Like, they're not saying some Japanese people, no, they're saying literally all. Right? Like, they know they pissed off all of Japan. Every single one. If you're in Japan, they know they pissed you off. First, we want to express our heartfelt thanks for all your support for the Assassin's Creed series, which now has its own history spanning almost 20 years. Grooms interprets this as corpo speak, meaning, we're scared, nobody is pre-ordering. Please support, please. For many of our team, creating an Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan has been a long cherished dream. Yeah, this is absolute bullshit. Grooms is absolutely right here, saying that we're passionate devs, not a soulless corporation. It's like we're an indie. Don't you guys love indies? I actually speak with people that work in AAA. There is no room for creativity there. You're a drone. You're a human resource. You're a cog in a machine. You get told what to do, and you do it. Unless you're someone higher up, which in a company like Ubisoft, maybe there's like 50 people that have some level of creative decision. And even they need the consensus of others. Like, the idea that, these are like 10 guys that really wanted to make a game set in Japan, so they got together in a garage and created it, is absolute horseshit, and they're banking on the fact that you do not know this. Now, one of the interesting things that I'm noticing is that a lot of Westerners have a lot of sympathy for Japan. The same way that Eastern Europeans here had a huge sympathy for America back in the day. Because everything that our culture consumed was American. I remember, like, in the early 2000s, the music was American, the TV shows were American, the movies were American. Like, everything was American. And because that made people happy through entertainment, they really liked Americans. Even though they had no idea about the actual American culture, they didn't know what a Republican or a Democrat was, people absolutely loved America. And if you shit-talked America, you would have people being upset with you. It's the same thing happening now with Japan. And the reason for this is that Netflix dropped the ball, Disney dropped the ball, Amazon is dropping the ball, Hollywood is dropping the ball. There is almost no entertainment that's good coming from the West. There's nothing that the West makes which make people happy. There's nothing wholesome. There's nothing entertaining. So people have moved away and they're finding entertainment from Japan, mostly through anime and manga. So when you shit on Japan and you're making Japanese people upset, you're also upsetting Westerners by default. I noticed this thing, and it's kind of sad. Like, I wish that America would start pulling its weight and start doing culture again like it used to, but they would actually have to make entertainment and actually try to make people happy when they play a video game rather than angry with their bullshit social justice messages. So look at this. We would like to address a few points to clarify our intentions and creative decisions. This is why we stole so much art and mashed Chinese and Japanese cultures together and put a black gay samurai into our game. It's respect, guys. Respect for you, the Japanese people. Yeah, like, when you're looking at it through the context, you notice that people were begging for an Assassin's Creed set in Japan. And they wanted something authentic. And even the developers and the journalists, they constantly talk about authenticity to the point where if you have like a gay character, like in this case, you got Yasuke, right? And let's say he is gay and black. They think that even the voice actor, if possible, even the motion capture actor should also be gay and black, right? Like that is the level that they want for authenticity. But when it's about Japan, all of a sudden they throw away all of that, and they also expect that you don't call them out on it. Or if you notice it, you're supposed to assume, well, they're hypocrites, they're going to do it, of course, right? So that's not what's happening here. This one is also interesting. Like some criticism, including from you, our Japanese players. We share your passion for history and deeply respect your care for the historical and cultural. Yeah, it's not some criticism if you actually have to write this shit. It's pretty fucking bad, isn't it? It's like politicians involved, celebrities involved, actual historians involved. A lot of people are involved to the point where you're forced to write this apology. So they say that they want to create an immersive and respectful representation of feudal Japan. Which is why they hired non-historians who wrote about man-boy love in feudal Japan because we respect Japan. We've stolen so much art, but that shows love. We even use that sword from One Piece. You love anime, right? So basically, Groups is calling them out on the fact that the historian that they hired seems to be ideologically possessed and is focused on the man-boy love in Japan. They could have hired anyone, but for some interesting reason, that is the historian they picked. And it's also the fact that they stole, like they got a sword from Amazon for One Piece and they presented it as Yasuke's sword, right? So like they obviously do not care as much as they claim they do. Like for them, this is a product. This is not a passion project. They're not passionate about talking about Japanese history. This is very different than Ghost of Tsushima, where you have the developers talking about how passionate they were and how many samurai movies they watched. And the developers from Ghost of Tsushima said, yeah, this is not historic. What it is like trying to recreate old samurai movies. So we've watched a lot of samurai movies. We are taking what we saw there and we want to make a video game based on that, right? So that is why people do not care about the history in Ghost of Tsushima. With Assassin's Creed, when you hire historians and when you constantly talk about immersion in our previous products and you have cases where you're like, okay, well, a crossbow would have looked cool on Ezio the Auditore, but in the time period that the game takes place, crossbows weren't invented, so we're not going to add it. When you behave like that, and when Wikipedia starts deleting entries and journalists are actually arguing with the community and you shut the fuck up, right? Like, notice how they didn't come out to say, oh, this is just a video game, it's fiction. When journalists were saying, no, actually Yasuke was a samurai. There is no debate. And if you question this, like Wikipedia is going to ban your ass, and you're probably questioning it because you're a racist. Notice how Ubisoft was quiet. That is their own customers, for fuck's sakes. I mean, I can't even imagine how it would be if some game journal were to attack my customers. Even if they're wrong, I would probably defend them. I'd be like, hold on a little bit. These people are giving me money, right? Like, these are my potential coomers. Like, if they actually care about my game enough to get emotional, I should defend them. Our team extensively collaborated with external consultants, historians, researchers, and internal teams at Ubisoft Japan to inform our creative choices. Once again, for the third time in this apology, we are telling we hired the best historian and researchers, but we are totally not marketing this as a historical game, guys. If we get it wrong and crap all over Japan, just remember we are only creating a fantasy. This is like the Schrodinger's thing, right? Like, if you don't call them out, it's historical, but if you do call them out, it's fiction. Despite these sustained efforts, we acknowledge that some elements in our promotional materials have caused concern within the Japanese community. Their CEO and staff called Elon Musk and gamers racist and hateful bigots, and said you were all fake Japanese pretending to be mad. Oh yeah, that's memory hold. So like when Japanese people were actually getting pissed off about this, Ubisoft said that it's fake Japanese people. They unironically think that Westerners give that much of a shit about their product that they would learn Japanese and start going on forums, you know, tweeting with kanjis in order to try and make Ubisoft look bad. It's insane. And of course, Groups points out that they're not going to change anything, and this apology is just, you know, begging you to buy their game.